This episode is brought to you by Bellator's Publishing, bringing stories to the world that last forever.
Today on Faithfully Fantasy.
Daddy Sorrengail would not have been so convinced that Brennan was dead if he hadn't got good proof, especially as he doesn't believe a word that the scribes are saying at this point. He would want to check it, wouldn't he? I think Brennan's dead.
Is it possible there may be one of the first six? And I'm thinking right now is Warwick. It's maybe like an Asian plan. I don't know if I maybe is to corrupt the dragons on purpose. So they bring all the dragons together. They put this pattern in the warstone so they can't channel from the sky anymore. It will come a time there will no more magic in the ground. And if there's no more magic in the continent, the dragons will die.
Hello and welcome to Faithfully Fantasy.
The husband and wife podcast talking all things Onyx Storm.
I'm JC.
And I'm Sean.
Today we're diving into chapters 18 through 20. And just heads up, we do swear, scream and spiral, so listener discretion is advised.
This episode will contain spoilers from all three books, as well as snippets of information we've had from Rebecca Yarros since the release of the third book. Today I'm going to have to try and get my head back in the Empyrean game after I have absolutely chain read Metal Slinger, and I'm not okay. I had to as soon as I finished Metal Slinger by Rachel Snyder today, I had to immediately put a call out to set up a
recovery group,
a support group. If anybody is feeling the same as I was this morning when I finished Metal Slinger, just drop us a DM and join the group on Instagram. We are talking theories, character development. We're talking all things Metal Slinger in the group. We also have a Quicksilver recovery support group. Likewise, if you want to join that, just send us a DM on Instagram. We're going to be diving into Quicksilver in advance of Brimstone coming out in November. Although Empyrean brought us together, we have a couple of other groups that you might be interested in.
Also, love getting lost in theories with us? You can now get even more exclusive monthly content, early episodes, access, and totally ad-free listening. Try it free, cancel anytime, and the best part, our most magical perks are waiting for you at faithfullyfantasy.com. Or if it's easier, subscribe directly on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. We got you covered so you can choose the plan that fits you best. And without further ado, let's get into a squad brief.
Yes. So today we crack open Daddy Sorrengail's research without triggering any ink explosions or self-destruct runes, feeling like true code breakers. Our mission takes us to Anchor, where we snag the citrine amulet and watch Aura Bindhaven lose her cool and torch Commander Grady in a fiery spectacle, only to end up as a wyvern kebab. We leave Anchor in flames and face the scenarium. Violet puts Markham, Daddy Atos and Holden firmly in their place as she picks her quest squad, and it's a real doozy, including her ex, her current lover, the Quadrant smartass, two people who have tried to kill her, and of course the only person Daddy says to trust. Oh, and we can't forget whichever redhead looks after Holden whenever he stubs his toe. Mira gets uncomfortably close to Drake Cordella's. Well, let's just say she makes her point.
Well, we have some interesting things to say about these chapters. We have some theories, so just stay tuned because it's a lot of details we're going to break in this episode. Time for a history lesson. Let's dive deep and see what the past is hiding about the future.
Chapter 18?
Chapter 18.
So we'll start with the epigraph, as usual. I cannot imagine sustainable life beyond the Emerald Sea. No ship has ever survived the tempests that form its ice-tipped waves, and the only sailors who return from her exploration do so defeated. The Last Admiral, a memoir by Admiral Levian Crosslight. What do we think is beyond the Emerald Sea?
More islands?
Do you think?
I mean, why not? At the moment, it's like there's no information about it, so maybe we find maybe the island where the Seven Dain Dragon are.
Nah, it's too cold up there. It's definitely too cold.
Beyond that.
Are you seriously thinking that Grady was right? I think they're from the Barrens. So it gives me Kraken vibes. Gives me like big sea monster vibes.
Yeah. Obviously, they're talking about the sailors, but there's nothing about dragons. Because if you're going in a dragon, you will go all the time flying. But if you don't know where you're going, is it worth it?
Yeah, and there's no magic, so
yeah.
Maybe the Irids would make it, I guess, because they can take magic from the sky. Do you think we'll ever go? I don't think we will.
Right now, I can't see like a specific reason to explore those lands.
No, I think this epigraph is only here just to prove how incompetent Grady is.
Yeah.
I think it's just another nail in his flaming coffin. So that's all, really. So we start the chapter with Violet rushing to help. Violet still seems to be bothered about Holden being hurt. So she obviously does still care about him, even though she puts on this bravado of the fact that she's not thought about him since she saw Xaden, etc. She rushes forward and she's like, oh, Jesus. And then she's really annoyed with Xaden for doing it. I don't know whether she's more annoyed because he's putting on this show and he's supposed to be a professor. That's kind of a bit unprofessor-like, isn't it?
I think maybe it's more about Violet thinking that Xaden just killed the Prince of Navarre in front of everyone. So she's just rushing to make sure that he's still alive.
Yeah, true.
Because one of the things that she noticed is there's no cracks in the wall. So for her, it's kind of like saying, okay, so I didn't drop it down hard, or didn't push it that hard. So it's a good thing.
I mean, it would take a lot more to crack a wall than it would to crack somebody's head.
True.
That's an irrational thought. I know it's supposed to be a massive red flag, but jealous Xaden is brilliant. I really like jealous Xaden. He's so funny when he comes to her room. And it's like, did you love him?
Yeah, it's something weird. It's not going to change anything, but I need to know. So
yeah. No, he does. He needs to know how worried he is, because if you loved somebody, well, he thinks that he could make it back into her heart, but actually what she says is really true. You do not know what love is, do you, until you find it, and you think you do, and that's what she said. She was infatuated by him, so it's not the same kind of love, and you wouldn't go backwards.
I'm guessing for Xaden is more about Violet. It's maybe his first love, and maybe he want to think that for Violet was exactly the same. But it's not about being the first, it's about being the last,
the real one. Unless he dies.
Yeah, but we need to wait until that part first.
He's not going to die. I'm so confident he's not going to die.
We see Xaden push the prince, he hits the wall, and the first one to jump is Anna. There's Holden's guard, and it's a redhead.
The latest redhead, yeah.
Yes, so Violet noticed straight away, oh no, just only the guard. She's redhead, totally his type. So again, we're still thinking that maybe Rebecca Yarros has something about redhead woman.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, all publicity is good publicity for redheads at this point.
So one of the things that caught my attention about this scene is that Xaden goes to see the prince and is kind of apologizing in front of everyone, but then at the same time he goes closer to him and say that he has a remarkable hearing because the shadows.
Yeah.
So can we then confirm that he can listen with the shadows as well?
Yeah. He said that in the last one, didn't he? He said that in Iron Flame.
Yeah, it's been a couple of times because even, I think, Eric, when they go into the archive...
Did your shadows tell you that? Yeah, we definitely knew that he could.
Yeah.
He could listen with the shadows.
I'm guessing there's everything, isn't it? So he can see, he can hear... he's everywhere thanks to the shadows.
Yeah, what's the balance? There must be some kind of...
Can he use maybe because he touched a lot Violet, and she said he got a lot of control with the shadows, so I feel he can feel as well. He knows how much pressure he's putting on her skin, so it's all 5 senses are into the shadows. Yeah. Can he smell with the shadows?
Great question. I don't think he can see with the shadows. I think he can feel what's there.
I don't know, because when Violet and Fourth Wing, she was hiding in the tree, it felt like he saw her, or he noticed that she was there because she went into the shadows. So I
Yeah,
don't know
but
if
don't you think
maybe the picture comes to his mind, and then he can...
he knew that there was somebody there. I think he can feel that there's somebody there. I don't think he necessarily knew it was Violet. Did her scalp prickle? Because he would have just read her intentions. That's how he knew she wasn't going to say anything. He knew she was there. He knew she was there the whole time.
Yeah.
But he also knew that she was.
As far as I can remember, is when he is asking her, "Are you going to tell everyone about my secret club?" And then it's when she felt it. But I can't remember she felt it on top of the tree. And this is the other question that I have to you, just if he can listen everything because he had the shadows, does it give it the right to do it? Because imagine if you're talking with somebody on your phone and I had an app or a device that allowed me to listen whatever you're talking with somebody.
I'm probably talking about Fourth Wing, so it doesn't really matter.
I know, but it's the fact that I'm listening a private conversation. So just because I had the power to do it doesn't mean that I can just do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously.
Yeah, no privacy at all.
Yeah, but I don't think he would do that. I think he would do that like for classified stuff. That's how he knew. That's how he led a rebellion a revolution, as we get confirmed in this chapter. So, Daddy Sorrengail's research. We're finally going to get into it. Aimsa is the password. Seems like Daddy Sorrengail suspected that the dragons were not to be trusted, or at least not all of them, because he says he failed Brennan when he let him cross the parapet. He failed Mira when he failed to stop her doing the same thing. That feels like he didn't want his children bonding with dragons. Not just that, I mean, it could be that he just didn't want them to die because they were going into the Death College, but it feels like he knew because of his research and because of the fables of the Baron. Yeah, I just feel like he knew, but he still put Aimsa as the power. I wonder how he felt about Aimsa, and if he knew that all the dragons were bad, could he even trust Lilith at all points in his research, or did he even keep some stuff from Lilith because of the dragons?
I'm guessing that at this point Ensal was such an important being in the family because if something happened to the dragon, automatically Lily will die. So the full family will be affected. I'm guessing that's why he's saying that the first love is irreplaceable because once the dragon dies, that's it. That's the end for the story for the writer as well.
So Xaden loses control, and Violet is sat in the room, and she's like, Ree's like, shall we just? They're too nervous to open the research, so shall we just sit and talk about how you used to date a prince? And Xaden's complete and utter lack of control made it obvious that he just found out that Holden was her ex, and she's like, Violet's like, his complete and utter lack of control is because he's a Venin. It's not because he's a Venin. He would have done that before. He told her he would do that when she found out about Cat, and she said, "How would you feel?" And he would be like, "I would want to like throw him into a wall or something." He said like foreshadowing. And this is why we have to pay attention to absolutely everything Rebecca Yarros says at every single point in the book, because it comes back and it happens.
Yeah.
But I get the feeling that this lack of control and this jealousy and this love that he's feeling for her, yes, jealousy can be toxic, but also like people get jealous. That is a sign that you really care about someone. Like, I don't know, don't come at me. But I feel like there is a healthy level of jealousy. If you didn't care about anything, then like what's the point? So I feel like that's a good sign that he's still in there. And Theophany is always talking about how Venin don't feel love, they don't feel things that strongly, they don't care about people. Xaden is still there. And I think it matters that he turned for love.
Yeah, for me, it's nothing weird about Xaden reacting that way. I was expecting this in Fort Wayne, Iron Flame, like before the transformation. It's just Xaden, it's his way to be. He's possessive. For him, Violet is everything. And only when he sees Holden like getting close and is about to touch her, he loses it.
Yeah, and he's asking her out for dinner as well. And
yeah, he's listening all of that conversation. And for him, it must be something easy
to handle because he can maybe read the intentions as well. Well, at this point,
Yeah.
he's not just reading the intentions. That we're going to talk about it when we get there. But
Can he read his intentions? Has he gone past the shield? So, he said that they built the wards and only certain signets could go through them.
mhm.
Does that mean, was Holden on the other side of the ward at this point? I think he was, wasn't he? And so that means that Xaden's signet worked through the wards as well. So when he said with some exceptions, he meant the lightning wielding and inntinnsic.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Re and Violent, they're going back to talking about the research. So the research is protected as well with 6 vials full of ink. And even Re said that so far she haven't tried to take any
Summon
kind of
liquid.
liquid. Yes. And I was thinking, if that research is so important and they had just one chance to open it and that something happened and it goes wrong, it won't be easy if I just really start to practice, like maybe from a glass of water.
Yeah,
and
you told us she had practiced. Yeah.
Yeah, she had that whole time.
Ink.
And then
Just
ink.
actually practice with ink.
She can summon the whole thing little by little, like the full security system of the book. She can give it like pieces by pieces until it's completely open.
Yeah, she probably could. I had a bit more of a sadistic thought. You know how Riddick can freeze people's blood?
Yeah,
Could she summon the blood out of them? Ugh.
I don't see why not.
I don't see why not either. Creepy.
We talk about one episode there how dangerous could be her signet because she can get any organ,
She can
brain,
summon somebody's eyes out.
heart,
Blah.
yeah, tongue. Stop talking to me, tongue,
Tongue.
tongue,
Not thong.
tongue. That's right, dog.
Yeah, Riddick would totally do that. So they opened the research and it's a history of the Second Croveland Uprising. I was really disappointed when I read that. I don't know why now because I know that there's loads of tea in there. But I was like, oh, this is another history textbook. I don't know why. I just kind of expected it to be like a big bang, feather tails. There's a prophecy. Violet is the one that can command the sky. And it was just history. But it obviously turned out to be very interesting and very important. I just thought, oh, that's not what I was expecting at all.
Yes, because from Fort Wayne we knew that he was doing a research about feather tails. So as the thing that comes to your mind, there's gonna be everything about feather tails, like anatomy. And
Yeah, but I thought we knew he was researching the first 6 as well.
yeah,
And that still hasn't come up. So that must be in one of the other books.
yeah. But yeah, I completely get it. For me, when I started to reading what it was the research about and the title, I was like, is this actually the real research? This is what we're looking for, or
It's a
something
red
else?
herring. It's a plant.
Yeah.
She says that she wants to simultaneously read it all at once, and she wants to savor it like she did with her mum's journals. But she knows she's got to read this. We didn't get anything about her mum's journals. We get obviously Mira mention it, but we don't learn anything, do we?
It's because she haven't finished. She's still reading a couple of lines at a time.
Yeah.
I think she said that she haven't. So
Do you think we'll find out more about the disease and?
yeah, I think it will come a time that we're going to see something in those journals that's gonna be key in the storyline.
To deal with Xaden.
Yeah, for example.
But Mira's going to find it first. The only other thing that I wanted to say about the journal was that she had to sneak them away, and they weren't burned. And I think she mentions at some point that the Book of Brennan should have been burned. And if it was found out that it wasn't burned, then she'd be in a lot of trouble. But so is it only the journals of the generals that are kept? Because I don't think that they would have burned necessarily her journals, would they? They might have kept those because there's all the journals of all the commanding generals of Basgiath are kept in King Tauri's vault or in the archives. So why is there a risk that wouldn't it be obvious if you were supposed to keep all the generals' journals? Wouldn't it be like, hang on a minute, she wasn't keeping journals or somebody's stolen them?
Yeah, that's actually a good question because these journals, I think they all belong to Navarre. They belong to Basgiath. That's why they're not get burned.
Do you think it's a requirement that the general keeps a journal? I do.
Yeah, I think. I think it's exactly the same. A captain of a ship, they need to just keep everything, so they can record it in case there's an accident, they lose calls, so anything happen, everything
I
is
think there's going to
recorded.
be a bit more juice than just like, today the weather was stormy because I made it stormy. And this happened. I think there's going to be some like, I cannot trust anyone.
Bloody Theophany is just right there.
Yeah.
Atos is still being a pain.
Colonel Atos got banished to the coastal outpost because he's a total twat. That's what she wrote. Okay. So we get a letter from Daddy Sorrengail, and this letter is quite long. I like how he talks about it as a glorious mess that is the first draft. And I thought they're the words of a writer. And I wondered if you that resonated with you after you've written your book.
Yes, and an author. I don't know if I have said this in this podcast before.
A few times.
Yeah, but wrote Memoirs of Roosevelt, link in the bio. This is my subtle way to do advertising to my book. But yes, at least in my case, when I'm writing a book, I just trying to get as much as possible as fast as I can. I don't try to polish or trying to make it perfect in the first go. Because for me, it's just, I need to kind of like put a structure. And it doesn't matter if it's not perfect, because I'm going back.
Yeah, but you have the benefit of Microsoft Word. Like, if you were having to handwrite this every time, that would be hard, wouldn't it? Like, you would want to get it as...
Yeah, but he has, like, I don't know, pages or something, so he can just shuffle the pages when he's writing something that maybe he wants to add. So just like, yeah, so you start to making something little, from that little, you start to making bigger and better. So I definitely come with this idea as well. Yeah, it's definitely Rebecca Yarros talking as a writer, and Daddy Sorrengail. He's kind of like a writer. He's doing a research, and then he's putting the story and this research.
Yeah. I'm going to read a bit of the letter because I have a theory.
Okay.
If I walk alongside Malak with your brother, so one, he really believes that Brennan is dead. I also think he is dead. Hang on. I also think he's dead. I wonder if it's Nailin disguised as Brennan. Right, I know we've been through this, but think back. We know that Asums can disguise themselves very, very effectively, and Mavens can disguise themselves. And why would they make such a big point of that and you just would not know? And we've got so many reasons to think that Brennan is Venin. And I know that we love to suspect Brennan on this podcast, but I just wonder if Asums and Maven can become other people altogether. And that is how they disguise themselves. And that is why Brennan was reluctant to come to Basgiath within the wards. That is why Brennan wanted to focus on daggers and not wards in Erasure. That is why he can move super fast. And all of these things. I just wonder. So my theory is that Daddy Sorrengail would not have been so convinced that Brennan was dead if he hadn't got good proof. Especially as he doesn't believe a word that the scribes are saying at this point. He would want to check it, wouldn't he? I think Brennan's dead.
I can give you that because I remember when we went with a deep dive for Iron Flame and we saw the first time the rune on Brennan's hand. My first thought was that rune was a masking rune.
Yeah.
Because in Erasure they use this rune so the people who go in from outside see that everything is destroyed so they don't see their reality.
Yeah.
So I thought this was doing whatever is there, being Brennan. It was doing this. Then when Violet was saying that, yeah, he looks different, but at the same time, yes, it's Brennan. Then the way that he talks, the way that he behaves is Brennan. So it's not what it is. For me, it was like, if it's not Brennan, it has to be somebody that was so close to Brennan that knows exactly how to behave or everything related to Brennan.
And he was in love with them.
Yeah. The thing that I don't know why he's behaving as a Brennan. Maybe because love it so much, he couldn't bring him back to life. Then he just put in himself as a Brennan to keep
Maybe
the
Nailing
memory.
is like fully bad.
Yeah.
But the thing that makes me think this theory is too wild and bonkers is because wouldn't Tan know? Unless the masking was so effective that it even masked him from his former dragon. And I think Brennan would have made more of a thing about... I mean, Nayland Brennan would have made more of a thing about the bond between Violet and Tan. But I do think... the reason I think Brennan is dead... So, Rebecca Yarros said she does not bring people back from the dead.
Yeah, and she's lying.
She's either... No, I don't think she's lying, because Jack didn't die. He wasn't on the death roll.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's
Brennan.
two things. Either Brennan didn't die, or he's dead. Like, those...
The real one.
Yeah.
Or it's a zombie.
Yeah, it's like a reanimated dead person. Or
Yeah.
somebody masking themselves as Brennan.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, she just brought him back from the dead. I mean, it's a fair point that he might not have died. Nailing gave everything. It didn't necessarily resurrect him. It said that he did.
Mm-hmm.
Or the book says that he did. But he could have just like stopped him from dying, couldn't he? But anyway,
Yeah.
I don't think Brennan... I think Brennan's dead. I don't think Brennan is Brennan.
Yeah. I have so far the theory that for me it makes more sense at the moment, at this point with all the information that we have. We have been told a couple of times here about there's different kind of venom. They like the one that are chasing power, and then they are the one who are transformed for love. I think Brennan is a venom, and he was transformed for love. But it was Nolan the one who make it turn into venom, so he can be alive.
He channeled Earth power.
Yeah, he's
into
a
him.
siphon, so he channeled all the power from the ground, passing to Brennan to bring him back to life. All the power turns Brennan into a venom, but Nolan sacrificed himself because he loved him so much. All the power and all the love going to Brennan. So Brennan has red eyes and veins, because it was like all the power they requires to bring him back. So in appearance, he's a full venom, and that's why he had that rune in the hand, because he wants to
Mask
be a
himself.
human. And now we know that yes,
Yeah.
a
So
sage and
you think
maven.
Nayland burned out and died.
Yes.
Okay. This is a good theory. I do like this one. I think it makes total sense.
At the moment, with the information that we have, it's like the one that
Yeah.
I'm thinking is the most
Yeah. I like
possible.
it.
Yeah. In this letter from Daddy Sorrengail to Violet, he says that there's a chance that maybe he would be Basgiath or Malik and Brennan. That he wishes that maybe they can just be together reading this and laughing, but it's a fair chance that he won't be there. And also it's possible that her mother it won't be there neither. So obviously he knew that whatever he was doing or whatever he found out was so dangerous that it could be end his life, the life of Lilith. And that research was so important that even his own daughter should risk her life to protect that research. So for me, there's so much more stuff going on here, and it's not just leadership trying to hide the Venin and the Wyvern from the rest of the public. I think there's much more
Yeah,
here.
there has to be. It can't just be about those eggs, right? It can't just be the fact that Crovler made a deal with Umbriel to steal them eggs. They tried to steal them eggs. They couldn't. So Umbriel withdrew their forces. Like, that's not... I just... Unless I'm missing something, that just isn't that interesting. Is it because they wanted the gifts of the Feathertails and they wanted to attack? Or, like, what is that? Because they have no access to power on the island. So what were they going to do? Come over and live here? Like, it doesn't make sense.
Yes, I mean, all the problems that started, it was just right after the walls were raised in Navarre. So, not sure if maybe before that or just a few, I don't know, hundreds of years after that, the dragons were able to channel from the sky, so moving to the islands, it was not a problem. But then something happened, and then the dragons couldn't leave the continent. They had to stay there because the magic was in the continent.
Because they started channeling from the ground.
Yeah.
He says history is simply a collection of stories, each influenced by those that happened before and steering the ones to come. This is why, again, we need to pay so much attention, because this is the second time that Rebecca Yarros has said something almost exactly the same as this. Devera did in Iron Flame, possibly, when she took over the history class for that 1 week. He says, you'll find the connection between the uprising and the pursuit of Feathertails to be both alarming and enlightening. So this is Umbriel wanted the eggs, right?
Yeah.
Craveler couldn't give them to them. Again, I need to keep reading for the deep dive, but I'm obviously missing something. I just don't think it's that, like, she's, like, terrified that she's right.
Yeah.
Am I missing it? Or do you think it's really big and really dangerous? Or
I mean, at the moment, I still just am the same position as you are, to be honest.
However, it does make me think that whoever stole the eggs from the valley above Ryerson House, I suspect it's Auric. You know, at the end, when the eggs are missing, suspect it's Auric because he knows what he's got to do with them. But there's 2 destinations. One destination for me would be to Umbriel, because he knew that he needed to get an army. And this links back to that. Was Auric actually, or whoever stole the eggs, was it a Crovelish person? We were led to believe that we should not suspect the Crovelish. We should not trust the Crovelish people, because why did they take so long to get there? What were they doing? Perhaps that is, they got to Ryerson House. They stole the eggs because they were finally fulfilling the deal that should have happened all those years ago in the Second Crovelish Uprising.
Yeah.
Or they went to Umbriel for a different reason, because Auric knew that he'd foreseen that we'd need an army, but I don't know how far in advance his precognition works at this stage, and I would imagine it's not that far. And then the other theory is that they are Sorrengail's eggs, and she needs them wherever she is with Xaden. But Rebecca Yarros has said that she wouldn't, that Ten, and I don't know whether there's like dragon contraception, but she did say she wouldn't bring, Sorrengail and Ten wouldn't bring babies into the world.
And I think as well, I think it was in Fourth Wing, when they were talking about Andarna, there was a moment when Xaden thought that Andarna was Ten Sorrengail's baby, and then Xaden was asking to Sorrengail, do you have a baby? You didn't tell me.
Yeah.
She was like, no, I will never do
But
something
she
like
might have
that.
eggs.
Yeah. Still.
Yeah. I think it's most likely that those eggs have gone missing as a result of a repeat of the Crovelish Uprising. We're not supposed to trust those guys.
For me, what it makes more sense is Auric was the one who took the eggs, because by the end of Onyx Storm, he was basically playing with like a chess. So he knew where Violet needs to be, and then by the end he wasn't there. And that's one of the reasons that a lot of people think that he is one of the new brother for Xaden.
I do think it's more likely that he would be flying the eggs away, but it would be a bit remiss not to point out that it says history repeats, history repeats, history repeats.
It's happening again.
And then the eggs are gone. So, yeah. I think it's a reasonable theory that the Crovelish flyers that we do not trust stole the eggs.
Yeah. One of the things that caught my attention about this letter is when she's reading seek the weapon to defeat those that you only learn about through lore. So obviously he's talking about the Venin, so he knew about the Venin. But somehow it's like he knew the Venin will go to Basgiath, because he's telling her that when that moment comes, she needs to move. She needs to go to, I think it's to Corden, and then take
A boat.
Yes, take Dan with you, because I train him so he can speak as well this language, so he can help. So it's talking about the weapon. We think the weapon is Andarna. So how much he knew about all of this was going on, like how he managed to think that maybe Venin were coming and they will be like in Basgiath, so they're going to cross the world and they will be there, and to the point that she has to run, she needs to move.
So possibly because it's Darramore, and like the fact that he was researching the first 6 for me, and he knew about Warwick. It could be a Warwick as well. I don't know whether he pieced things together and knew that they would come to the Vale because that is where the flow of magic was strongest in the Vale.
Yeah.
And so eventually they would have been drawn to that point. They would drain the land dry and then they would have this amazing resource in the Vale. But yeah, it's definitely Andana. Maybe they went there because that was the only known location of an Irid. So maybe it was that was drawing them there as well. And he knew that because he knew what Andana was. I don't know. It says ride for Corden, like you said. When I first read this, I kind of thought, he thinks that Takaris will help because Corden is Takaris.
Yeah.
But I think what he's just saying is geographically you need to get to Corden, so you get a boat. So I don't think he does know Takaris is there. But there was some suspicion from Daddy Sorrengail that Dain might not be a rider. So there was maybe a time where Dain was going to be a scribe, which is interesting because is that another person with a scribe brain?
I know that they spent a lot of time together. Daddy Sorrengail was training Violet as a scribe, and then was spent a lot of time with them. So I don't know if at some point he was considering be a scribe as well. He's good with language. He is really intelligent person. So I don't know if maybe because he felt maybe some admiration for Daddy Sorrengail. He had a really good relationship with Violet, so maybe they could be together as scribes.
Yeah, and he has a mind signet as well, and I kind of get the feeling that like it's supposed to be something scribey because he's got this mind signet.
Yes, but there was something that for me is like really important about this sentence because as an author, it's not just about what is in the page, it's about what is not or what is missing because there's a lot of details there. So that is Sorrengail. What he says is if he follows in the footsteps of his father, you need to let go his affection for him. There was a reference before about the parapet, like maybe if Dain decided to cross the parapet, and then after they said if he wants to follow the same steps his father, but for some reason I don't think he's thinking about
Crossing the parapet
as a rider, follow the steps as a rider. I think that the Sorrengail knew the Colonel Athos and at this point was doing something really bad.
Yeah.
And if Dain was going to follow those steps, then Violet shouldn't be with him.
Yeah.
Because it's not because he's going to be a rider. Lilith is a rider. Brennan was a rider for
yeah, but he
Sorrengail.
says he failed them.
Yes, but they're still part of the family.
Yeah.
So
I get it.
being a rider is not that bad for he to say to her, if I follow the same steps, you need to let it go, his affection, your affection for him. So I think it's definitely saying General Athos now is doing something dodgy. He's been doing it for a long time. Daddy Sorrengail found out.
Yeah.
And it's like warning.
Yeah, we know that he stopped trusting him at some point, didn't he? Because he didn't tell him about the research. He knew about the research, but he didn't tell him what was in it.
The only question now is, did Athos follow the steps of his father
No.
after turning into a rider?
Oh, no,
I just saying, just leave it there.
Dain
We'll see in next book what happened.
All right, then. He does say trust only mirror. 10, isn't it, that says there's no magic beyond the continent, and that's why dragons remain. And he says why it's surprising that Irids left our shores. It's just another hint that they either haven't left, they're still in the Barrens, or they take magic from the sky. And we know now, don't we, that they take magic from the sky. And it just feels like the other dragons have forgotten their roots, and I wonder if they can't channel from the sky because the wards stop them from doing that. And they've just kind of forgotten that because they've been raised under the wards now for hundreds of years. There's no dragons left, is there, that are 600 years old
Mm-hmm.
since before the wards. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's a question that I have. In this continent, how magic is born? Because so far we see there's a relationship between dragons and magic. But it's like when a dragon finds a new hatching ground, is it because the magic is strong there? Or once the dragon decides to have a hatching ground in that specific
That
point,
draws the magic.
then is when it boosts the magic. So
I
it's
think
like
it's the first
what is
one.
first, the dragon or the magic?
I think it's where the magic is closest to the surface.
Mm-hmm.
It draws the dragons because they want power. So I got really, really confused. And it says we need to take something so valuable. And Andana says, I know what we need to take with us. And Ten says, I've come to the same conclusion, but I do not wish to spend time with nursery gossips. What does that mean? Is he talking about eggs again? Is it her eggshell? You know they take her eggshell with them.
Yeah.
But then why does he say, I do not wish to spend my time with nursery gossips? Is that he doesn't want to go and help her get it?
So for me, it was the eggshell, what they're talking about. But that particular sentence, I don't know if maybe all the dragon eggs are exactly in the same place. And then if you want that one, you have to go where you have feather tails or baby dragons all around. And that's what Ten doesn't want. Just be there surrounded by baby dragons. And then what you doing? Why you taking that? And that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so he's not going to go help.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about we've got this episode to come, but I think that Violet's hair is a total red herring. She was touched by Dune, but I also think, isn't it a bit suspicious that the Irid dragon eggs are exactly the same? They're like black fading to silver.
Yeah.
It's a bit suspicious, isn't it? Irid dragon blood, anyone? Right.
So jealous Xaden arrives to Violet's door. He's asking about Holden. Did you love him?
Yeah. Again, we've said this already, but I think her response makes total sense here.
Mm-hmm.
Might be an awkward conversation. You know, I've definitely thought I was in love before I met you.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't when it turned out, but I did think that. And I think that that's what Violet's trying to explain there. And I think Rebecca Yarros says it really well. Is nobody following Xaden at this point? Like, where's Aura fucking Binehaven? She's everywhere. Where's Caroline Ashton?
Mm-hmm.
He just seems to get away with it. He snuck in, been angry, grabbed a bomb, had a kiss.
Mm. Well, he's been outside, so I don't know if maybe he was walking through the woods or something, somebody was following, and then Shadow Daddy just used the shadow to disappear, and they were like, where is he?
That's a good point. I should have taken into account his signet. I feel a fool.
Something interesting in this conversation. Violet said yes, that she's been before dating Holden, and Xaden said like, yes, I picked that. I picked a lot of things about what he was thinking, and then Violet was like, wait a minute, that's not how your signet works. And then she was like going to say something else. And then Xaden is back again, like, do you love him? So here, I think it's just like the first hint that we see here in Onyx's story.
Yeah, he's an actual
he's
mind reader now, isn't he?
inntinnsic now.
Yeah. Yeah, it happens later with Violet as well.
Yeah, but the other interesting part for me is because we know the Venin is boosting the shadows. We learned this in the beginning on Onyx's Stone, so obviously it must be something with the second signet as well, because it's like all the power that he has. So if he's turning inntinnsic, it's just because the Venin is like boosting all of this, or it's just evolution of the signet?
Yeah, it could be
or
both.
Is it a combination?
Yeah, I think it's the Venin thing, but it could be both. So the thing that is a bit sad here is that he kind of says, if my dad left me a letter, like basically he would drop everything and do everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it just brings home like how much pressure he's been under for the last 6 years since his father was executed. It just makes me feel so sad. He's really struggling. He just wants a letter from his dad. That's a bit sad, isn't it? Right.
It's everything because he ended the relationship not in good terms. So I guess that always going to be there for Xaden. It's something that it will never be able to fix.
That's how we end the chapter, on that happy note. Chapter 19?
Epigraph.
The gem given to you upon graduation from Cliffsbane should always be worn close to the heart. But if you have not mastered your control, it will only amplify your downfall. Chapter 3, The Canon of the Flyer. So I love this. This takes us right back to the beginning of Fourth Wing, when Violet is crossing the parapet and she's she's reciting facts to make her calmer. I had a thought the other day that actually, there's something somewhere that says reciting fact is the difference between a librarian and a scribe, and like interpreting the facts is the difference between a librarian and a scribe. And the fact that she just recites facts, it's like shows that she shouldn't have been a scribe. She's got a scribe brain, but she's reciting facts to keep herself calm. Anyway, that's a side track. She talks about Poromil being famous for crystals that amplify lesser magic. And this just brings us back, and we didn't get any confirmation of the Mari family and their big role, but I am still convinced that it's their mine in Ressen, and they were mining these crystals that amplified minor magics and possibly supplying them to Cliffsbane Academy, and that is why he got assassinated, not just Mari. So Colonel Mari, she got assassinated for being part of the rebellion. They didn't assassinate the spouses just for being their spouses. They assassinated the people who were directly involved, and they physically went to kill him. And obviously we know that the Mari family crest was on the box in Ressen and the explosives, and we now know it's Meersite, which is like literally their surname. So I thought we'd get a bit more intelligence on that. But anyway, my headcanon is that Liam and Sloane's dad was supplying these crystals. Obviously not this particular one, because that was 650 years ago. I do think it's clever, this epigraph, because we know that signets do this. If you can't master control of your signet, then it will lead to your downfall. So yeah, I feel like this is quite a clever epigraph. It brings in what's about to happen, but it also gives you some detail about the crystal, the fact that the flyers get a crystal. Kat never graduated. Does she have a crystal? Is it confirmed that they get the crystal?
Don't remember seeing any reference of her having a crystal, but I know that she's really powerful, but I think that is just natural. It's nothing to do with a crystal.
Yeah, I would love to know more about Cliffsbane.
I think it's just the people who graduate, because this epigraph says that if you haven't mastered your gift, then it will be your downfall. So I'm guessing that one of the requirements is that you have to graduate, and then you get it.
Hopefully there's not like a big stash of these crystals at Cliffsbane, and now the Venin have them all, because all the signets and the lesser magic is amplified anyway when you're a Venin. That's not just because they stole them from Cliffsbane, is it? No, because Xaden hasn't got one.
We start this episode with a quest squad, and now Mira is joining the team thanks to Holden. So I don't know if maybe he's thinking that he's getting some points here with Violet, like just like moving some strings to make this happen.
Maybe, but I thought Grady had been like fine with that. I thought he'd written a letter to the Southern Wing, which was actually... So I thought he was trying to get Mira anyway.
I thought Mira was there anyway. So
did I.
What is saying that tends to Holden? Just make it happen like faster, maybe, or...
Holden's probably taking the credit, isn't he?
Yeah, could be.
So, we hear, my skin tingles as we slip down into the valleys through the Esbons, and I'm struck with the oddest urge to try and pluck strands from the very sky and weave runes. So, this is where I think Violet could possibly do this even without Andana. You know how Venin can channel from the ground? If they're instructed, there must be a way to channel directly from the sky without a dragon. And I wonder if that's what she's doing when Andana goes. And the fact, it's no accident, is it? This is major foreshadowing for the fact that the Irids can channel from the sky, because she specifically says, pluck strands of power from the sky and weave runes. And we know she only uses Andana's magic to make runes. She doesn't use Terns because it's too ferocious and angry, and the she describes Andana's pearlescent channel as like more approachable and kind of controlled.
Mm-hmm.
And that just shows again that the dragons are channeling from the ground. It's bad. Andana is channeling from the sky. It's good. And there's not a mistake that she's put that in that sentence. And it's just so obvious. And I can't believe that we didn't realise it from the beginning. 10 says Violet is getting more powerful and is now capable of recognising what was once invisible to her.
Mm-hmm.
And Andana's like, I would recognise it too if you let me come. And again, it's just another bit of foreshadowing, isn't it? So, I mentioned this a bit earlier, but I have a theory that the wards actually stop the dragons from channeling from the sky. And I think Andana potentially is not able to do that within the wards either. I think she did it in Erasure, and possibly that's why her dreamless sleep was like insane, because she started doing it in Erasure, fueled by the sky. But actually in Basgiath, perhaps she can't do it. My other question is, could this perhaps have been removed by accident when they tampered with the wardstone? We've been saying that we think that the protection against the wyvern possibly could have gone, but actually, could the restriction of the dragons channeling from the sky have been lifted by accident? So like a happy accident. So I think Andana channels from the sky because she's so old. Her egg is 650 years old, that her line hasn't had the chance to be corrupted yet, because she
haven't learned how to channel from the ground.
Yeah, she's just doing what's natural to her, whereas something's happened with the dragons, hasn't it, where they have to channel from the ground.
Yeah. Talking about all of this, about the wards, something that has been mentioned before is that the two ward stones between Erasure and Navarre, they are different. We know the one in Navarre, they had some diamonds. The one on Erasure doesn't have. We know that when they start to create in the walls, they basically, all the hatching grounds they were all around the continent, they were poured into Navarre. So all the dragons basically came to the walls. So I was thinking, is it possible that maybe one of the first 6, and I'm thinking right now is Warwick, because Warwick is like, he was kind of like, it looks that he was in charge of the wars in Navarre. He was the one who said that he didn't want to share that knowledge when Lyra said that should be for everyone. So, and the reason the people on the continent, they can protect themselves. Lyra was the one who was doing the one for Erasure. That one doesn't have those diamonds. So I was wondering, it's maybe like an Asian plan. I don't know if maybe it's to corrupt the dragons on purpose. So they bring all the dragons together. They put this pattern in the wardstone, so they can't channel from the sky anymore. They had to start channeling from the ground, and because it's going to take time until it's like a natural evolution. So every single dragon now, when it starts to burn, they don't channel from the ground. They start to channel. They don't channel from the sky. They start to channel from the ground. So I'm just thinking, so maybe like a plan to, I don't know if it's to corrupt the dragons on purpose. And what is the purpose? It's because maybe they want to eradicate the dragons, because once they learn draining the land, it will come a time there will no more magic in the ground. And if there's no more magic in the continent, the dragons will die. So I don't know if it's like a long-term plan to eradicate all the dragons from the continent.
Could be. Yeah.
So that's the thing that I find like interesting. Something's going on with the wars, but we don't know if the dragons are aware about it, or if there's dragons that are actually doing something.
It could totally be both, couldn't it?
Yeah.
I think we'll find out more about why the dragons channel from the ground in book 4.
Yeah, there's more stuff that we don't know, and it's all related from 650 years ago. So once we start to have more about the story from that time, we will learn what's going on.
Yeah. And Anna says she can burn Venin, and Ten kind of corrects her, and he's like, I've told you a dozen times that the first fire burns the hottest. It could just be that. You're not different. We're not falling for that, right?
No, she's a 7 Dain dragon, and they highlight more power against Venin.
Yeah.
So definitely, I don't think it's the first fire. I think that's 7 Dain dragons thing. So we arrived in Anka. We see that the place is all being drained. We had a little bit reference about how this place has been built. It's basically like a lot of buildings, houses everywhere really close together with some bridge that connects one with another one. So it looks like a maze, and it's definitely not dragon friendly. Just wonder if maybe they just want to make sure they know dragon riders go to the place.
Yeah, but wouldn't a dragon just smash into it if it really wanted to?
Yeah, I was thinking the same.
I guess they don't need it, but it was like in hindsight, it's not very fire safe, is it? But it's like it sounded just like the design of London in the 1600s, but they're very close together. Basically, that was why the Great Fire of London in 1666 was so devastating, because it just spread like that down through the houses, across the bridges that connected them. The houses kind of had canopies across where the toilets were, so you just like
throw all the
dump all the urine on the street.
Nice.
Yeah, but yeah, that's why a fire is so devastating, as we're about to see. It just absolutely ravages through types of structures like that.
Yeah, I was wondering if maybe Rogers got some inspiration from
the Great Fire of London.
Yeah,
possibly.
And when they're looking for the place, when they can find this gem, Xaden had like a new mantra. So he's just walking in every single time when something's happening, he's just like, calm, cool, collected.
He needs one of those like really corny signs that you put on your wall, like live, laugh, love.
Yeah.
Cool, calm, collected.
Yeah, and he's like putting the hands in the pockets, like, I'm really chill. And even Mira was like, what, it's your new mantra now that you're a duke. But you see like this kind of like relationship that's really good between Xaden and Mira.
Yeah.
And Xaden were like, no, I just don't want to explode in front of Grady.
Yeah.
Because the whole thing is just ridiculous.
Yeah. So they're going to get the citrine. You know how I'm like really interested in the different types of crystals. Well, citrine is supposed to get rid of destructive tendencies. So like reduce your self-destructive tendencies. So I think Xaden could do with one of these to get rid of his like rage and jealousy and his veninism.
So he can actually be calm, cool, collected.
Yeah, he needs some citrine. So according to the latest intelligence that they have, wielding within a drained territory isn't just difficult because the dragon can't channel from the ground to do it, but it also seems to draw venin. So that means that because there's no power around there, it's very easy to detect any power. There's an extra risk that if they wield, then it's like a big beacon that attracts like spidey sensors, venin sensors.
Yeah.
I feel like we can't get through this episode without talking about Grady. Why is he so incompetent? And like, he was put in as a professor of land and nav. So this is him effectively in his element, crossing enemy lines, landing on the ground, being separated from his dragon. This is what he was teaching them to do. And he's just put together this absolutely nonsense squad. I do have a suspicion that he has been inappropriate with Aura fucking Binehaven. I think there's something going on between them two.
Yeah.
Like in the same way that Holden and his professor had something inappropriate going on. He doesn't command any respect. Mira basically snatches the map out of his hand and is like, it's this way, because he's totally incompetent. I have a suspicion that Grady was put into Basgiath because he was shit. And he was put in there by Varish and Atos. And it was all at this time where things were happening, or Melgren was interfering. I feel like he was put in there on purpose because he was incompetent. I liked him in Iron Flame. I honestly thought he was going to be good. Just totally incompetent. But yeah, I just had this suspicion that Atos and Varish had something to do with him being there.
I'm not sure because I genuinely believe that he just got promoted because all the people above him they just got killed. So it's like one of these kind of places that if you stay longer, you get promoted,
Yeah.
even if you don't deserve it, just because you're next.
But-
And we'll see later on in this same chapter what's going to happen with that vacancy.
yeah,
So-
yeah. Good point. Good point. But the fact that Mira said, if I didn't know better, I would think he was setting this mission up to fail. And that's why I
True.
think he's on Atos's side.
Yeah, that
Doesn't
he wants the
matter.
mission
I mean,
to
he's
fail.
going to get absolutely roasted, isn't he, in a minute? But I just wondered, like, is Atos and actually like, actively trying to sabotage stuff through Grady? And does it even matter now that Grady's dead? We don't know. Also, Aura Binehaven has this like flint in her hand. She's standing ready. Is she totally useless? Can she not make fire without a spark? It's like Bruce Springsteen. Can't start a fire. Can she not? Like, because Car didn't. I don't know. Is she just useless? Is that just another sign about how she's a third year and she still needs to make her own spark?
That part for me was a little bit weird as well, but I don't know if it has to be because they're in a land that has been drained, so she need like fire
Extra
to
boost.
control it because right now she can't like create it by herself.
Could be.
Because I don't remember another like Firewheel using.
It's not
something.
been mentioned. Yeah, you're right. It could be because of that. But I think she's shit.
Yeah, it could be completely that she just completely sharing. She needs that because she need it, not because the land is because of her.
Yeah. And we find out later that you have different types of ice wielder. Some ice wielders can draw directly from the air. Some need water. So it could be a sign that some fire wielders can create fire from effectively nothing, but some fire wielders might need a spark to get it going. So even no two fire wielders are the same, just like no two ice wielders are the same. And Carr did say that, didn't he? He said no two signets are the same, like even if they're called the same thing. I'd like to think, like in my head, she's just shit and she needs like a little cigarette lighter to get her going.
The first thing that came to my mind was like, okay, she need like a spark or something to create like this massive flame that's like a dragon breathing. So I was thinking, so that means that Sawyer can do the same with a little bit of metal that he just with a little bit can control it and create a lot of stuff. Is that how it works, or is just the fire?
Needs metal. I would say he needs metal from somewhere else.
Yes, but Aura is freaking out. And at this point, they're going to the right place. They're looking for the gem, but she's just like scared shit. So she's like ready to fire the place. And this is exactly what happened. There's a shadow that comes from a door, and then she just fired to everything. And say that even when he wasn't close, he could like maybe see the intention, because the first thing that he shouted mentally to Violet is, Vi, careful, she's going to, and then fired. And it's Grady, the one who is on the other side of the door. So this is the first time that Grady is actually on fire.
She's setting fire to her lover.
Literally.
Yeah,
Yeah, good one.
Yeah, awful.
So basically, this is how we started the downfall of the team, because now the players start to get burned, so they had to go back to the square village. And the place is amazed, and I'm really like surprised like how Mira is so confident that she knows exactly where she has to go. And even Violet's mentioned this, that she won't be able to do it, and Violet is so intelligent. But I guess like orientation is something that you need like a special skill for that as well.
You know that Mira, well, they were terrible at reading the maps, weren't they, in RSC?
Yeah.
But Mira is excellent behind enemy lines. Like, she won the Star of Navarre. Oh, no, she didn't get the Star of Navarre, did she? She got the Order of the Talon or something.
Yes.
For being so good behind enemy lines. It's, like, really one of the first times we've been up close with Mira in battle.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think she's a formidable rider. I think she's just like her mother.
Yeah.
And yeah, she was her mother's project, wasn't she?
Yeah, pretty much. She was basically Lilith Jr. in
Yeah.
all sense. Yeah. Terrence gives a warning that they're not the only ones on the sky. They go into the square, and it's Aura the one who goes first, and then she noticed the wyverns as well, but she noticed them directly in her spine.
You
and in fire as well as Grady today.
Yeah. This is excellent. Although I was like, yes! Yeah. I know. No, I can't remember what I was like. We need to find my reaction.
Yeah, you were more like, well.
Ew. Meh. I'm so glad she's dead. I never say that about anyone, but she was a wretch.
Yeah, it was just those when they're not that bad to be like a bad guy. It's more like somebody that's really annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Caroline Ashton. She's got to be next.
She's still there. Then Violet is taking Xaden with her, and she says to Taryn, like, take on both of us. And Taryn is like, I know a horse.
Oh my god, what is this about? Like, why are they so proud that they can't carry anyone?
It's like such a, I don't know, because you know them when they start to go into the islands, it's the poor Griffin, they're like Holden's
being held.
And when they're like so small, because for a dragon it would be nothing, but pure Griffin.
It just shows, doesn't it? They think they're above everyone. I'm like, my estimation of dragons has gone rapidly downhill since reading Onyx Storm. Like, I mean, would I still want to bond one? Absolutely. But just because I'm like curious about what my signet would be. But I think griffins in general are better. They're more like, I wonder if they channel from the... Yeah, they do, because they can't get magic either, can they? On the Isle Kingdoms.
Yeah. In the end, yes, they're going together, Violet and Xaden. There's some wyverns around, so Violet starts to channel it because she's going to strike one of those wyverns. And then something weird that when she's doing it, she was like, oh my god, Xaden is like right here. It's going to maybe like taking the power from her. Like that Venin instinct is what I'm guessing. That. Yeah, so it's like she says something. There's like, I'm channeling all this power, and Xaden is just right there. So it maybe there's gonna be like temptation for him because they're outside the walls.
Oh, I missed that completely.
And then it's when Taryn said that you've been wielding a lot when he is like closer than this.
Yeah, that is
and
funny.
Then she was like, yeah, I'm not even thinking like how he knows that.
Well, it's a little bit like awkward of Taryn to bring that up, isn't it?
Yeah, but at the same time, I think there's a little bit like awkward from Violet think that like he said that it doesn't want even touch her like sex or anything because he cared that he's not going to do it on purpose, or he's not going to do it without even realizing.
It is tempting for him to just steal a bit of extra power.
Yeah, I found it just like weird. All of them, they managed to escape. They go back to Samara. They found out that Mira, she managed to grab the gem, and also a letter that was there for the lightning wielder. So Violet is reading this as from Theophany, that she knew they were dead, and she's saying to Violet, why you not just ask me what you're looking for? So Violet is just like, well, she knows that I'm looking for Andarnan's kind or Satan's cure. And the other thing was that she can take Violet anytime. So I don't know if she's being just overconfident, as she always is, Theophany, or if actually something else that we don't know.
Yeah, there's definitely something else.
But then Xaden is the one who pointed out she knew we will be there. And then she was like, oh shit, yeah, that part as well. So is it maybe because Atos or Panchek are they still working with her?
Yeah, well, we know Panchek is passing information, don't we? We don't know that he's passing information directly to Theophany. Seems like he's more working with Berwyn.
Yeah.
But I wondered if there was a Venin balance to Auric, and they've got some Auric is the balance to this precognition signet.
I'm still not sure if the Venin actually has signets.
Yeah, I don't think they do either.
I think maybe they're using the crystal from Cliffburn to make
Amplify lesser magic. But could you
or
count?
booster with Venin power, like the same way they do with wyverns, but to do like kind of like signets.
No, so I do think they've got signets, but I don't think they're developing them. I think they have signets when they're a rider previously. Question is, was Theophany a rider? Because she seemed to be a priestess. Doesn't fit, does it? With Theophany.
Yes,
I
and
don't
Body won't be able to counter the signet. And I still think maybe that's like the hint. There's not a signet.
It's not a signet, yeah.
Yes, because I don't think doesn't matter how powerful that person is. If it's a signet, Body will be able to do something.
Yeah.
Reduce it at least if it's too powerful, but at least like do something. But it was nothing.
Chapter 20, Epigraph. Perhaps the point of this is not to deny rebellion, but to only go to war with those who trust implicitly. Subjugated, the second uprising of the Croveland people by Lieutenant Colonel Asher Sorrengail. I'm not sure we've talked about this, but we thought we were right in suggesting or theorizing that Colonel Daxton was Violet's dad. But that's not actually the case, is it?
Apparently, there's a Colonel Daxton, and then I think it's called as well like Asher Daxton.
Yeah.
That's what we thought it was this one, but it's a colonel.
Yeah.
But here he is
Lieutenant Colonel Sorrengail.
Sorrengail, yes.
Yeah, and you become a lieutenant colonel before you become a colonel. Yeah. So do we think that Colonel Daxton was Violet's granddad?
Yes, definitely has to be family. So.
Yeah, could have been his brother, couldn't it? But you'd think, unless he died first, you'd think he'd still be around. So that's why I'm erring to the fact that Colonel Daxton was her granddad.
Yes, and Colonel has to be somebody that it has to be like a few years, I think. So I'm more thinking they was the father of Asher.
Perhaps we'll learn more about him in the next book if we meet Granny Daxton.
Yeah.
Who Mira went to see.
Yeah.
This epigraph links to Grady and Violet's quest squad. And also the Croveland uprising. So again, it's quite a clever one in that it says only go to war with people you trust implicitly. And if you look at just what's happened, that squad, nobody trusted each other. It failed miserably. But it also links to the fact that Umbriel should never have gone to support the Croveland uprising because they shouldn't have been able to trust the promise that the Crovelish people made to them to give them the dragon eggs. It's quite, again, just really good epigraph that links everything together. So we get more of a glimpse of the Duchess of Moraine in this chapter. I have a theory and relates to the books that Violet has said she has read. She has read The Dark Side of Magic, Red Regalia, The Scourge of Our Times, and maybe some more. I want to just stop and focus in on Red Regalia. So regalia is like things you wear, right? And it's Red Regalia. The Duchess of Moraine is Venin, or is working with the Venin. There is a link between Red Regalia and the Dark Side of Magic, the Scourge of Our Times, all of the anatomy of the Venin, all of these books that she says she's read. Why is Red Regalia in that part? Why is the Duchess of Moraine such a knob? Why does she have a red ruby earrings and necklace? She's got Red Regalia. There's some link between the Duchess of Moraine and Venin. And she's trying to muscle her way in to Tyrrendor by getting an alliance, a marriage alliance between Xaden and her daughter. There's something to do with why is the Red Regalia book just snuck in to here. Also, something going on with Kat and Zanal. Zanal has given her a red ruby necklace later when they go to Zelna.
Yeah.
Is that a sign? Is that like I'm asking lots of questions rather than giving answers? But that book, Red Regalia, was just snuck in there in the hopes that we would pass over it. But I was like, not so fast, Rebecca. There's something there, isn't there?
So you think that maybe when she's asking to Xaden to consider the proposal of her daughter, so it's not just between royal family come together, it's more about Venin family come together.
Yeah, possibly. I don't know if rubies were somehow linked to the royal family of, or the nobility of the barons. And perhaps these red regalia, these red ruby artifacts are now finding their way to other parts of the continent and to the Isle Kingdoms, being traded somehow for something, like perhaps being traded for your loyalty and things like that. And perhaps the loyalty of Moraine has been, the Duchess of Moraine has been bought by some kind of Venin leader. She's not necessarily Venin, but I feel like there's a link there between the rubies. There was another Venin. Was it Theophany or was it the other Venin with them when they went to break out? They went to jailbreak Jack.
That was Theophany.
There was
with
a
the
ruby.
Yeah,
There.
and the sword.
Violet has a ruby hilted sword. Dagger, sorry. There's just these rubies popping up everywhere. And I think this is where we get the link that they're linked to either the Barons or to Venin.
Yeah, in this series, colors are a really important thing. So we have like different kind of dragons with the Venin. Now we start to see there's like different flames as well. We don't know yet why is that. We see like some kind of not royals, but like really important people wearing this kind of jewelry. I remember as well when we went to Aratian Surrey, she was wearing, I think, like an emerald or something.
She just she has an emerald ring.
So yes, I don't know.
That's interesting.
So
now,
a green one.
But now we know that emerald rings are linked to Tyrrendor because we know that Violet has the emerald ring. It's at the same ring.
Couldn't be the same because the one it has is from like the Aratian ring or something like this, or from the sword from. I can't remember.
Was
but
she just looking after it? Was Sorry just looking after it? But we know emeralds are important. We know green eyes are important. Auric has very green eyes. Imogen has very green eyes.
Yeah.
We know red rubies are important. We know that red eyes are important. So, yeah. I just think the fact that the Red Regalia book being slipped in there is a major clue.
Yeah.
It's a Red Regalia flag.
Yeah. In this chapter, Violet has to go back to the scenario to like start to think what's gonna be the next step to follow, and she is just like, I'm not taking more shit about these people. She's just mentally prepared that it's gonna be just what I want. When they're getting close, Radok is just with her telling them, I want to go, and she's just like, focus. When they're getting close, she's seeing the distance there's a cat with a new flyer that she haven't seen before. And she was like, oh, I thought that maybe she would have a chance with Trigger, but maybe this guy means something for her. But obviously, this is just like the first entrance from Mr. Drake. And they were just talking there. And Radok is just like keep pushing that he needs to go. Then when he gives like the orange, and then they find out that he can frozen the orange from inside, and that he can like feel like.
That's terrifying, isn't it?
Yes, the particles of water in the air, and he can use it to froze it. So yeah, it's literally like Elsa. You just can.
Would you die, or would you just be like cryogenically preserved?
You will die, definitely, because your heart will start pumping blood, so
yeah,
it will stop.
Am I being stupid? Isn't there a thing where like they think that they can freeze people? Is that just sci-fi?
I think so far where they can process just like really small living things, but like humans.
Am I thinking about sci-fi? Like when they
yeah, you're thinking about Disney, and that's
trips
why
to space. I'm not thinking of Disney. I'm thinking of like space movies.
Yeah. They get frozen for a couple of centuries and they just like start defrosting and go back to
Yeah.
life.
Is that not real? I'm supposed to be intelligent. Why did I believe that could happen?
As far as I know, no. I think right
now I'm saying it out loud. It's obviously not a thing.
No, I think what is right now an option is that you can froze your body and you can conserve, but there's no guarantees that you're going to go back. So the option is that you get frozen. And maybe in the future, if we find out how to bring these people back, then we might be able to do it.
Okay.
So we know how to frozen people. We don't know how to bring them back.
In the freezer.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to Google this later.
Oh gosh. It's so funny because then the movie with Brendan Fraser, that he was like a caveman. They got frozen, and then he got defrozen in modern days. If we just get defrozen, then he just come back to life.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
That's reality for you.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Well, it was until you just ruined it.
Oops, sorry. But yeah, they are like completely in shock. Like, oh my God, Rita, can you do that with a person as well? And he was like, well, I haven't tried it,
but why not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Violet's like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah,
We're
but
going
it's not
together.
because of that, is it?
But no, obviously you can see the Rita here it start to grow and it start to show, because one thing that he says, and I was like, yeah, Rita, well done. And when he said that it really pissed me off when you guys are like, my sense of humor somehow lends my ability to show up for our squad.
Yeah, I think that's Rebecca Yarros directly talking to the fans.
Yeah, just because he is the kind of comedy relief. You shouldn't take him that he is not good, or he can bring a lot of stuff to the team.
Yeah.
And that's something that we will see in next chapters.
Yeah. And we find out that the reason he's good at this is because he's spending time practicing his signet. But we learn he's also spending so many hours sat next to Sawyer waiting for him to wake up.
Yeah.
Isn't that so cute? He's just really loyal.
He's definitely a really good friend because he's there for Sawyer when he needs somebody like the most. And then when Violet is about to go to this adventure, he wants to be there as well. And he's the one who said that when we are together, you are fine. You go by yourself, and then you get tortured, you get this, you get that. So obviously, there's a trend that when we are together, we still like fine.
I'm going to take this opportunity to send a direct message to Rebecca Yarros.
She's listening.
If she ever sees
definitely.
this.
Yes.
Can we make
definitely.
sure she sees this? Please, Rebecca, do not take Riddick away from us. We can't cope.
Yeah, but you remember when we were talking in the previous episode, I think that he is definitely with Sanal. Maybe because of that, he might be the one who will go through all the end.
I changed my mind last week because of that. Zanal is with him. He gets kissed from Zanal. I thought he was for sure, a goner. In fact, we predicted that he would not make it through Onyx Storm.
True.
Perhaps he didn't. We still don't know. There was a brown dragon in the valley.
Well, we haven't seen it in the end, but we haven't seen it in Sawyer neither. This is still...
No, but we know there was a brown dragon down. So there's a chance that Riddick didn't actually make it through Onyx Storm. But I think Rebecca hasn't decided yet. She was going to see just how much we loved him. And then if we all loved him, then she'll kill him. But so she'll wait and it'll be like...
Then just say, yeah,
Riddick's funeral.
We don't care, Rebecca. Take it.
Yeah, this is another direct message to the fandom. Can we just pretend we all hate Riddick? And then she won't kill him.
Yeah. She will develop this character so people can love him.
Yeah, she's just keeping her options open just to see how much we love him so she can tear our hearts out and stand on it on the floor. We love you, Rebecca, but please don't kill Riddick.
Maybe that will be another question for the interrogation chamber. If somebody has to die between maybe Sawyer or Rhiannon or Rita, who will be the one you choose?
Sorry, Sawyer.
It wasn't that hard, isn't it?
Yeah, answered, John. Sorry, Sawyer.
Yeah.
I love you, but...
I have one leg with my leg already, so send the rest.
You're so mean!
I mean, literally one step with my
Ooh. I think that that would be pretty hard on Jacinia, but we need Ree because we know her signet is like. I'm just thinking purely practically. That we know that metal. I was going to say metal slingers. I'm really in this rabbit hole. Metal manipulators are like 10 a penny. There's loads of them. Sorry, Sawyer. You're fantastic and you're grit and yeah. I mean, it's a difficult choice.
Yeah, just
it's also not that difficult. Sawyer makes me like cry happy tears when he manages to get back on his on Sleek. Kat brings her cousin Drake. We suspected that we would meet him. We also suspect that Mira and Drake will hit it off and they'll ride off into the sunset with Broccoli. Violet immediately kind of assumes that he's a new love interest for Kat rather than a cousin.
Yeah, she just noticed when she got close and then she saw the Cordella and they're like, oh, it's actually
Before
a
that,
cousin.
she says she was hoping that Kat would give Traeger a shot, so that's just a bit of foreshadowing. For later, Captain Jarrett, right, I'm going down this road again. Another one from Samara. Are we not suspecting that Varish and Atos have something to do with this? Even Varish is dead, like, acting beyond. It's another one. It's like, maybe, I mean, if you think of it like in the, give them the benefit of the doubt, they're getting the riders who are closest to the front line, because Samara is right on the front line. But if you think about it, like, cynically, which I always do, it's another one. He's not that competent. He's apparently the best sword fighter, but Xaden can take him down no problem. Xaden took him down bare hands, no magic. So, like, I don't know. Just another
more
one.
people around.
Yeah. Is it, again, like they just want the mission to fail?
That's a really good question because so far we don't see like more people from other outposts or anything going on. It's just everything so far is coming from Samara. So I don't know if it's just because it's the closest. The one that at the moment they don't need that many people there.
Yeah. I love the interaction between Violet and Markham. Markham wants to search Erasure, and she is just like, you do not speak to me. As far as I'm concerned, you have the integrity of a rat, or whatever she said. It's brilliant. And he's like, you can't talk to me like that. And he stands up and he gets really angry. And she's like, I don't report to you, so fuck off.
Middle finger right in the face and just rub it.
And then Atos is like, yes, but you do report to me. And Holden's like, shut up. So I hope we keep Dain's dad in this story for as long as possible, and we just keep seeing him get humiliated like this. Like, it's so great. It's really entertaining when these grade A arseholes get humiliated in front of a big audience, and I loved this one. This is the first time we saw Markham in the story, right?
Yes, I think so. It was funny as well because he was like saying that, we need to go to Erasure because we have some years of history or records missing. Like, come on, you had like 650 years of records like hiding, and now you're complaining that you had like...
Not hidden from him though, are they?
Yeah.
That's why he wants them. That history is not hidden from him. He's like I think he is a Hadean worshipper. You know how scribes don't normally worship something, pray for something that should be earned and not given. I think he just wants everything to be, and I think that's why he's
seeking for knowledge.
Yeah. It just shows how much Violet has changed, doesn't it, since Iron Flame, where she's just, no, my way or the highway. The only thing that I will let you have is we will leave the day after tomorrow. That is the only thing I think that remains intact from the original scroll that was given to her by King Tauri.
Yeah.
So she's not even just disobeying Holden's plans. She's disobeying King Tauri's.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about Violet in this situation. Her ex-boyfriend is the prince. They're next in line to the throne.
Yeah.
Her current boyfriend is the Duke of Erasure.
Thurendar. Eventually.
Sorry, yeah. Good point. Duke of Turandor. Not to mention, which is probably what I should have led with rather than like linking her to powerful men, her first dragon, or arguably we think her second dragon, is second only in power to Coda. Her first dragon, or second dragon, depending on which way you look at it, Andana, is the only known Irid to all these people. We know there's more now, but we don't at this point in time. She has all the power here. Absolutely all the power. And this just, like, Markham and Atos have, like, properly been pied. Xaden has been overruled. King Tauri has been overruled. This is just a sign of things to come, isn't it? That Violet has all the power in this situation.
Plus, she's aligning well there.
Yeah.
Just with the signal, it's like who
And a
can stop
dream
her?
walker. She can manipulate dreams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, she had changed so much. Even Holden, she was like looking at her as even Violet said as he never seen before. And something I think is really sweet in this part, the Tern says to Violet, is because he never saw you like this because you are not the same. And it's just showing like how much she had grown.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And then we're treated to more of the Duchess of Moraine, aren't we? She hates the Flyers, and she thinks Xaden is a traitor, but she wants her line of succession to go to Tyrandor as well. She's obviously got big ambitions, hasn't she? Just coming back to my theory, if she was a Venin hiding in plain sight, she would know at this point that Xaden was Venin.
Initiative, yeah.
Yeah. And like you say, is it maybe a different type of alliance she's looking for now? I can't take her seriously, though. No offence to anyone called Eileen, but I'm like, come on, Eileen. It's one of those songs, one of those names. She's called Eileen.
Yeah.
Which actually means light, I think.
Light.
I think so. I've read that before.
I don't know in which language it will be.
I think it's just an etymology, like the name, like how Shan is a gift from the gods.
Yeah.
Don't know what Juan is. Same, isn't it?
No, I think mine is just like brave, like a brave man or something like that. That's it.
Yeah, but, I think Eileen is linked to light somehow. I don't know, I should probably check that.
Maybe Scottish Gaelic or something.
It's not Scottish Gaelic. That's an interesting point, though. There was some dragons' names raised. So we learned Aura Binehaven's dragon's name in this one, and I can't remember it. But I did Google it, and I noticed a commentary that none of the new dragon names, I think we only got 3 in this book, none of them are Scottish Gaelic, because there was quite a pushback, I think, about how Scottish Gaelic has been used in the stories.
Really? I was looking for other means and names in my reread from Fourth Wing, the Spanish version. And I don't remember, we saw before the names of Tern's parents. And I was just looking for those ones because the first introduction from Tern, when he said I'm Ternana, and he said like son of this and son of that. So I was just like doing a little research, like we never found out like what it means. Now that we know there's Scottish Gaelic, but it's just one of them it means teeth, and the other one I think it means like overweight or something like this. So like. Okay, no many clues for here. Yeah, it's just something like random.
Random names.
Yeah, So I'm like, I thought I was like following something really good.
You found a
and,
clue. No.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't call it nice try or something like that.
Yeah.
Like just completely trolling me.
Troll. Yeah, what's Scottish Gaelic for troll?
For troll. Yeah. Trollanak.
Son of Trollanek. Son of you been trolled. So we find out here as well that Drake was instrumental in bringing down the wards at Montserrat. We finally find out who was behind it after the bonus chapter where we all started to suspect Dain because Xaden says he was out of breath. But we think now that he just said he was out of breath because he was just trying to offend it, just thinking of any insult.
Mm-hmm.
But Drake was the one that did it.
Yeah. Obviously, Mira knew that. And when he found out that he was there, we know what happened. She got really close to him.
Yeah, this is such a great interaction. Like she knees him in the balls and he's like, I've heard you, and then she just like taps him on the shoulder and is like, great.
Yeah, like good boy.
Yeah. She's got some reading to do. She's gonna go off and read Lilith's journals. They're definitely gonna come back next book.
Yeah.
So that's the end of the chapter by chapter deep dive. Now we'll do Oryx Augury. So in a nod to our favourite princes, Signet, we take a look at any theories that we've raised during this episode, with a view that maybe we'll stitch them together just before the next book comes out and kind of see if we still believe that by the time we've got through the deep dive. So what is your favourite theory that we've discussed today?
So I'm gonna stay with the walls have intentionally modified to make the dragons start channeling from the ground, and there's a sinister reason for that. So I don't know what is specifically the reason to make the dragons to channel from the ground. If I just turning kind of like a venin animal, or if I just because it will reach the point that all the magic from the land it will drain and the dragons will die because they don't know how to channel from the sky because they completely forgot how to do it after centuries of channeling from the ground. So that's gonna be mine.
Yeah, I really like that too. So I've done it again. In preparation for this episode, I thought it was going to be around Violet being able to channel from the sky without a dragon. But I changed my mind. I went so deep into this red regalia rabbit hole this episode that I now quite like my random theory that the rubies were originally a mark of the nobility, like represented the nobility in the barons. And they have made their way through the continent, and the Duchess of Moraine has it in return for her loyalty to the barons.
Yeah.
Sticking with the theme of precognition, the epigraph for chapter 21, which we will deep dive next week. Tyrrendor was the last to cut contact with the Isles. The province has a reputation for its cunning leadership, but in this case, I would add astute. Subjugated the second uprising of the Crovelin people by Lieutenant Colonel Asher Sorrengail. We'll have so much to do next week because we're on our way to the Isle Kingdom.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be so nice to start to see like the culture, the religion, and all the kind of stuff. So I'm hoping that we're going to get like so many things to talk about it because we're going like really deep into the Isles.
We're gonna be able to get deep dives into the gods, and that's the bit that I've been like really excited to do. Okay, should we go into the interrogation chamber?
Okay, interrogation chamber.
So last week we asked from the Iron Squad who would be the easiest to beat in Signet sparring. Did you have a think about this?
Yes, and again, no, very lucky for Sawyer, I think. Because,
oh, really?
Yes, if you have to depend, there's metal around you if you want to use your Signet. But if you're in an environment, everything is just wood, rocks, or anything, there's no metal.
But people have weapons.
Well, it's
And he can
Signet
stab the
sparring, isn't
daggers.
it?
Yeah,
But,
but he can stab the daggers. So this is what I went down a completely different tact.
mhm.
I just went with Marin or Traeger because we do not know what they can do. And I just don't get the feeling Marin... I'd take Marin.
Well, Flyer, the thing is that they play with your emotions.
But we
so
don't know what they can
ultimately-
do. So I just went on the
It's,
basis
it's,
that...
it's going to be something with the brain, isn't it?
I think Traeger's like a healing type power.
Mm-hmm.
Because he always helps the healers. So I'd take Traeger. Also, he's dead. So
It
he's
didn't
very
work very
easy
well
to
with
be.
the arrow, isn't it?
Sorry. Yeah, but it hit him in the heart. Like, it was direct. He didn't have much chance to...
Yeah, to react.
Yeah. No, I'd go for Traeger or Marin. I avoided the Iron Squad, like, riders because I thought...
Yeah.
Sloane would be pretty easy to beat at the moment. She doesn't want to
doesn't-
use her signet. And she's not that good at sparring. I mean, she got better because she worked with Imogen, but she's... Sloane probably would be a good shout.
So she's been beaten all the time, basically, as well.
Yeah. This week, for next week's episode, so we know Mira and Drake will end up happily married with Broccoli. We know this for a fact.
Since Fourth Wing. No,
Yeah.
since Iron Flame.
Since Iron Flame. Which other unlikely couples are we going to see in the future books?
Okay. I think there's a few names there already. Yeah.
Yeah. So, if you have made it this far through the episode, thank you for listening. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Faithfully Fantasy Pod. We now offer exclusive content through subscriptions on Instagram, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Supercast via our website, faithfullyfantasy.com. There's so many ways to access the different content that we provide. We are most active on Instagram, so come and join the conversation. We'd love to hear your theories on not only the Empyrean, but obviously, as I mentioned at the start of the show, Quicksilver, Metal Slinger. I have just started reading a new book, and we'll talk about that, obviously, when I finished. So, yeah, I'd also like all the recommendations.
And with this, we have just one more thing to say. Thank you for listening to Faithfully Fantasy.
The husband and wife podcast talking all things Onyx Storm.
We'll see you next week with more theories, more deep dives, and of course with more Faithfully Fantasy.